Max Porterfield.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you. CEO of Callinex Mines.
That I am.
Thanks for letting me in on the private placement. I'm now a shareholder.
As am I. I appreciate having you as a shareholder, and thanks for the support.
Yeah, so our priorities are in line here, and of course I'm biased to the company, so that's a pretty big thing for the listeners and the viewers to understand. But we're at Beaver Creek right now. Pretty big conference that happens here every year. Would you say it's the largest, or no? PDAC would be larger.
Yeah, PDAC would definitely be larger, but this is certainly a very high caliber conference to be at.
So we're both kind of tired, and what was your situation? You drove in, or sorry, you flew in from Vancouver?
Just like, then flew in from Vancouver, and then
what time did you land?
one thing led to another. I want to say that we landed at 6:30, but didn't officially make it until 1 a.m. when my head hit the pillow.
Did you go for
That's
dinner?
Why, if I'm looking a little tired, that's why.
Oh man.
Around my eyes, bags in my eyes. Yeah, dinner was pretty good. In-N-Out Burger's consistent. You know, they don't have those in Vancouver.
Did you go for dinner here or in Denver?
On the road is where dinner occurred.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how that happened that you got in at 1, because I had a 4-hour delay, so I didn't leave Toronto until like 9. Landed this time, local time, around 10:30, 11. I didn't get in here until 2 o'clock. And
wow.
I experienced that thing on the road, or the highway where they shut it down too.
Yeah, they say that there's all the constructions in this area has to occur over 3 months. So that's why they jam all the construction into those 3 months, and everyone has to deal with it during the nice weather, because it's the only time to get all the work properly done.
So basically, you got to buy a helicopter. We need the stock to do very, very well, so we can all buy helicopters.
Or a rocket. Yeah.
Or a rocket. So what have you been up to over the summer? It's been probably 6 to 8 months since I've seen you.
I certainly didn't buy any sunglasses since then, but
yeah.
In terms of what we've accomplished, quite a bit. We closed a big acquisition that we've been working on for 8-9 years, or in terms of our wish list of areas that we want, and patience is pretty key part of this business, whether it's just patience for cycles or patience for getting deals to come around. And that was certainly the case with our Alberts Lake option. That was an area that we've always liked. Now we've completely consolidated this prime piece of real estate at our Pine Bay project, and then subsequent to that we did raise some money, which again you were supportive of. Appreciate that. Mm-hmm. And now we're drilling, which is the most exciting part of everything, and looking forward to what's to come next.
Well, we're going to be doing a webinar on October 8th at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern time, and I look forward to giving our community more of a deep dive on the overview of sort of what's been going on and what's happening with your projects and the financing. Obviously, the stock's down a little bit, but that's kind of where the market's at right now.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's been overhang on the stock. That's something that's occurred from time to time, as investors that may not be aligned with your story at that given moment, which puts downward pressure on you. But I think we've cleared through a bulk of that, if there's any of that left.
Yeah.
At perfect timing, really, as the drills are turning, and we've got news flow that'll be coming, and advancing things pretty rapidly moving forward.
Yeah. So what have you been up to aside from work? What have you done over the last 6 months? What have you been up to?
Really, I hate to say it, it's work. Shlomo, my dog that you met when you were in Vancouver last time, went into the knife, so he's no longer going to be a father in his lifetime.
Okay.
Shlomo, but
yeah,
he's probably okay with that. And just kind of put your head down and continue marching forward.
Yeah. So what are you going to do this fall to market the story anyways? Like, what conferences are you going to, and what can investors look forward to?
Yeah, we're pretty active. So we're here at Beaver Creek this week, and then go back, and then we'll be going to to Sweden. There's a conference that we'll be attending in Sweden. We've actually had quite a bit of support from the Nordic countries historically. And one thing I could say about European investors in general is they tend to be oftentimes very stable longer term.
They give you a good time horizon to prove out your thesis.
Yeah. I mean, when you look at, I think the overall markets have kind of been trained on this short time horizon environment. Everything is, fear of missing out, what's going to happen next, and understand information moves much more rapidly. But there's still fundamentals in certain businesses that are longer cycles, and certainly the metals and mining business is one of those.
Yeah.
So it's good to have investors that understand that time horizon.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, I think it creates a healthier company. It's better to reward investors when the company is successful. So again, pleased to be back in Sweden, and then after that we'll be in Germany, Switzerland, a bit of a break, then going back to Switzerland, the UK, for different road shows, and
That's
also
all
some
this
North
fall?
America. Yeah, all this fall. Yeah.
Wow.
So it's gonna be quite a busy fall. I'm not going to spend too much time in Vancouver, but that's.
What do you do with the dog?
Shlomo's got a godmother, so
Okay.
he's in good hands.
All right.
Maybe better hands than me, but no, he's well taken care of.
So I'm going to ask you, because you had a good opinion last time. What do you think about the overall market? The bond market's been tanking, so it shows that looks like the U.S. Fed is actually going to start to cut interest rates. That does affect gold, silver, precious metals, right? Typically, you look at history as far as what happens to the gold price and precious metals after the first cut. Recessions sort of usually happen within a certain time period. Like, what's your take on all that stuff?
Well, I think we're probably already in this recession. I think that the timeline for the rate cuts didn't go as quickly as I would have probably thought they should have gone. Just about squeeze that people are under, just overall. I mean, this is the average person, I think, is feeling it, and you're seeing that response. In Canada, they had a number of interest rate cuts before the Fed has cut one, so they've been more proactive to that. But again, it's this kind of cat and mouse game in terms of making sure that the rate increases aren't as such to where they really are a drag on the economy, and then also slowing down the rate of inflation. And I think that whatever rate of inflation they say there is probably threefold that in real numbers. So I think it's very, very constructive longer term for gold. I think the reduction in interest rates certainly could help gold, but whether we're in a recession, I think is that we already are in a recession, and it's usually kind of backward looking when you get the indicators saying that you oftentimes we're already in it before you were there.
Well, I know back home there's a bunch of like one of the biggest electrical companies in my area has had most of its people laid off for like 4 months, and I hear a bunch of stuff like that. So if it wasn't for immigration, and of course they've reversed policy on that, I would agree. Yeah, we would be in a recession, right? People are hurting. Right now, it's very difficult to sell a property. There's lots of inventory, great buyer's market. You can go in there. You have no rush.
Yeah.
And you can take a look, but also people really aren't buying houses right now, at least in Southern Ontario. So, okay.
Well, I think that when you have very, very low interest rates for such a long period of time, and you're printing money, dollars flow and things can get pushed up rather dramatically, and then humans don't really, they always want something on sale. So the idea that the cost of capital isn't on sale anymore, and that there is a true cost of capital with the higher interest rates, is going to have them certainly more trigger happy. On top of that, people planning their household budgets without taking consideration the impacts of interest rates is certainly something that I think that's prevalent in both Canada, and I wouldn't see why it would be any different in the United States. The difference in the United States, though, is just the structure of the overall housing market is a bit different.
very.
And the durations of the loans and how those are structured. So I do think that Canada has a much harder to fall relative to the United States in terms of housing, but that's going to go just really due to the structure and the household prices due to median income in the country, which, you know, there's a wide margin between the two, particularly in Canada. And then this interest rates, you know, are going to be adjusting. There was a huge amount of loans that were put out during the pandemic.
Yeah.
At, you know, essentially 0% interest rate or very close to that. And
People call that the mortgage cliff.
yeah, and now what the U.S. listeners may not understand or have heard, but you know, all the mortgages in Canada are all in adjustable rate mortgages. They adjust every 5 years, and that's what
Yeah.
they deem as fixed, which is great for those first 5 years. And you know, culture in the United States and in that sector, when you buy a home, you're paying that rate for the term of the loan. So I think that's going to hurt the Canadian market much more severely.
Yeah.
And you know, it's kind of a perfect storm with you know, in certain areas of Canada, like British Columbia, where you've banned, you know, vacant homes, you've banned foreign buyers. You know, you've really stacked the decks against the housing market.
Yeah.
All at once to try to slow down what was occurring, but really what was occurring was you're giving capital away to everybody too inexpensively, and people that typically probably shouldn't be able to afford something were allowed to afford something. Should be no shocker given what we learned from the U.S. financial crisis. That's not sustainable.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty well said. I don't have anything to add to that. I think that's pretty accurate. And yeah, I mean, you know, I'm not going to mention any names, but I know people right now personally that are selling homes because they can't afford it. Their savings are wiped out, you know.
Yeah.
It's taken a couple of years to unfold, but that's, and Canadians are so like fixated on their homes, right? Like they don't want to give up their home. But
Well, I don't think it's exclusive to Canadians. I think, you know, your heart. Your
but
home is
different
where
than
your heart
Europeans.
is.
Different than Europeans, right? Would you agree to that, or you think you're?
In terms of their homes, I don't know. I've never tried to pull a home from a European, but I'm sure they probably wouldn't like it too much.
Yeah, I just think that overall Europeans are less, their appetite for home ownership is substantially less, but they're ahead of us in regards to their infrastructure and, you know, their housing situation. So it's been unaffordable for a long time, but people just don't worry about that. They live their lives. They have their flat or whatever.
Yeah.
But, all right, well, so October 8th, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, you're going to be doing a complete overview and update with Ashley on the company. So we're going to get a deep dive then, and I'm sure you'll have an updated presentation, stuff that you're sharing with people now.
Yeah, certainly.
And I look forward to that.
I'm excited to do it on October 8th, and it's been a pleasure, you know, to enjoy the scenery and the sunshine here in Colorado.
Absolutely. All right.
Follow the Money Investor Group is a 100% Indigenous-owned company and certified with the Canadian Council for Aboriginal Business.